welcome back. This is part
Yes.
two. Well, this is
Yeah.
a theoretical
It,
part two to our previous video. If you haven't seen it,
from
go check it out.
Wednesday. Yeah, yeah.
If you want the full just backstory behind where we are at right now.
We made a theory video based on the new Stranger Things teaser that came out on Saturday. And in the video, towards the end, I cut a lot of it out, but towards the end, we were both just like stumped on ideas and theories as to like what was happening. But while I was editing that video, I was literally like, wait. I thought of like a bunch of different things. So I was like,
At that
instead of
point,
waiting
we
for like,
hadn't gathered our full thoughts and
yeah,
really just digested the information yet.
and it was funny because like I was saying, I was editing. I came up with an idea, and then I texted Jonathan like a whole like essay
You
of like,
sent me
what if
literally the
all
full
of this happened?
script of all
Of
of
season
Stranger Things
four of
season
like,
4,
yeah, I was like,
play
what
by
if this stuff
play.
happens?
Like,
Yeah, we're not
what
even
if? Okay,
exaggerating.
listen. First off, Jonathan and Nancy,
Oh
like,
my
and they're at
gosh.
a gas station, and
I did say that. Or I think I'm pretty sure I gave like three possible locations. I'm like, they could be here,
yeah,
here,
yeah,
or
yeah.
here, all of which meet the same outcome. You know, this is coming out just a couple of days after the last theory video. And, instead of just waiting for the next teaser to come out, because we're probably not going to make another update video unless if we get news or another teaser. So just why not let our theories out there right now instead of waiting for them to possibly be confirmed? Because if we wait for them to be confirmed, then we can't just be like, I said that, because it's just,
And
then
it's
we're
like,
lying at that point.
I said that. You gotta
Look,
believe me.
so this is just basically the summed up, I guess, version of the theory that I came up with. In the last theory video, we were talking about how Jonathan said like maybe the family was killed by like demogorgons. I said maybe he's possessed by the mind flayer. And then I was thinking, and we also talked about the possibility of them introducing a new monster. And we were like, would they? I don't know. But I was thinking they probably are going to introduce a new monster, and here's why. And it's because they have the Hellfire Club, the D&D club, in this season especially. Seasons 1 and 2, more so season 1. But they had Dungeons and Dragons as sort of like a foreshadowing thing. The first scene, oh, it's the Demogorgon, and the Demogorgon ended up being what they called the monster. Season
Mhm.
2 didn't have like Dungeons and Dragons playing scenes, but they were like, oh, it's this monster's like the Mind Flayer. Season 3 didn't have any of that because it was still the Mind Flayer. But what if season 4 brings back the theme of D&D foreshadowing future events? The main gang, let's say Mike, Lucas, and Dustin, are playing D&D with the Hellfire Club. They come across a monster, very similar scene where at first you're like, oh, this is like similar to the first season. They encounter a monster, super powerful, throwaway line. And then it turns out that the monster has similar
Throwaway.
traits to the thing that was haunting the Creel family. And it's a new monster that's maybe even like more powerful
Let
than
me
the
just
Mind
look up
Flayer. Maybe
some.
it's like the god of the Upside Down or something.
Let me just look up some D&D monsters real quick.
So yeah, I came to that conclusion while drinking coffee this morning. So
Let's see. Illithids. Hmm?
I don't know what that is. I need to look up most powerful.
Oh, most powerful.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Shoot. Most
D&D
powerful.
monsters. Beholder. It's the
The
Beholder.
Tarask.
Chapter 9 in the Tarrasque. Top 14 strongest boss monsters in Dungeons and Dragons.
A
Gelatinous
Vangian.
Cube. In season 4, they will face the gelatinous cube. Okay, anyways.
D&D is, I feel like in Stranger Things, it's a weirdly good symbol type item thing for all the monsters, and I feel
Yeah,
like
just
they're
yeah.
100% gonna do that, because why else would they bring back D&D?
Yeah, with the whole club. Okay, so that's the conclusion that I came to regarding Victor Creel's side of the story, is that they probably will introduce a new monster. It's because they're also bringing back D&D, and it's going to be a new D&D monster where it's like something bigger than the Mind Flayer that is probably, they're probably going to say that it's just bigger than the Mind Flayer just for the sake of like having a
Yeah.
bigger thing that like, how do we defeat it? Like, oh, we kind of know how to at least stop the mind flayer. We don't know how to stop this.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I came to that conclusion.
Yeah. I feel like it's
Yeah.
a kind of a obvious observation, but I feel like one of three things can happen. One,
Yeah.
there's a new monster
Yeah.
that is just a separate thing from Victor Creel. Two, there's a new monster, most likely, that has something to do with Victor Creel, controls him. Then it kind of crosses over into, is it still the Mind Flayer, though? Because that's kind of characteristic of the Mind Flayer and less of something else, because there's not really much else you can be like, oh, D&D, it's this because it's better than the Mind Flayer.
Yeah,
You know,
and
either
making
that,
it make sense for like
yeah.
why he did what he did under the control of whatever.
And
Yeah.
Third and final thing is it's just bigger and better Mind Flayer
Yeah.
that is doing, I don't know, controlling
Yeah.
Victor Creel. Maybe I'm kind of really convincing myself that Victor Creel is not an actual murderer, or he is, but like he's just
he was unused, taken
guy.
over. Yeah. And the more I think about it, the more my original theory of he breaks out and murders everybody. Like, as much as I wanted to believe that, the more I thought about yours, I was like, that makes more sense than mine, is because I feel like, that's also the Stranger Things way, where even though it's intense, they have a lot of heart. So I honestly feel like that could happen, where like he's innocent, they try to prove him innocent. And also, when they're there at the house and they're going up the stairs, it looks like Steve is holding something, right? Now, what if he is holding a compass? Because, in season 1, they were like, oh, the gate could disrupt the electromagnetic field. They used compasses to find it. The compasses led them to the house. And maybe they're like, hey, is the upside down back? Because maybe they're not even trying to help Victor Creel at all. Maybe they notice something's up. The compasses are acting up. That's not true north, like in season 1. They go there and then they're like, okay, what clues are we looking for? Okay. Like, the lights start flickering. They're like, okay. And then they're going up the stairs. They're noticing like that the compass is pointing in different directions. They go in the attic. They see the clock. Maybe, and this sounds kind of far-fetched, whatever I think about it, but like maybe, hey, the clock is actually like directly linked to the upside down. Like maybe it was like one of the first like links between the upside down and our world, because it seems like there's a lot of emphasis on this one specific clock. I mean, I can't imagine why else it would be important.
That reminds me of something I actually thought of earlier. That's could be kind of far-fetched, but it wouldn't hurt to
put it out there.
It out there. So thinking about the clock, obviously, it got me thinking, hey, the upside down, it's kind of a parallel dimension. And once you get into like dimensional stuff, you start thinking like time paradoxes and stuff. Hey, the clock, right?
Yeah.
And
clock, am I right?
There's a big emphasis on time for some reason. At least that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
There could be some correlation there, maybe, but
like with time and dimensions, you mean?
Time and dimensions, hey, they can maybe, I mean, I'm not saying time travel is something I want or something that will be.
You're just putting it on the table. Yeah.
There could be something
it's honestly
time.
Possible. Yeah.
Who knows what they're going to do, but that's just something to keep in your minds while you're waiting for the next teaser or trailer.
for the next teaser to not let us know anything else about this thing that we're theorizing on right now. It's taking so long.
Just give it to us, Netflix.
Give it to us now.
What if the clock created some sort of time rift, and that's what opened originally up the upside down?
I like that idea.
I don't know what a time rift even is, but it sounds plausible.
Stranger Things writers, they can figure it out.
Come on, just DM us already. Recruit us, please. We do off.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd feel like I can't do this.
I'd be like, what if we introduced time travel? And they're like, I can tell you about 100+ reasons why that is not so great an idea.
The Duffer Brothers were like, Get out.
They're like, this was a mistake.
We thought you were cool. We thought you liked this show.
We thought you liked this show.
We talked briefly about how we don't know what's up with the Byers, but I came up with like a whole season and a half. So I sent the screenshot and I said, what if in this picture, Eleven's getting taken by the government back to Hawkins because she was left alone? And then Jonathan, Will, Mike, and Argyle, who is a new character that was announced, have to go back to Hawkins. I came up with that little thing. I was like, maybe. And then I was editing the part where we were like, what are the Byers even doing? And then I was like, what would they be doing? And I think I came up with a pretty solid idea, loose idea of what the Byers side of the story could be. And I'm going to read this because I wrote it down, because if I was just trying to do it from memory, I'd be like, wait, what did I say? I'm just going to briefly go through what I think the Byers side of the story is. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But I think it's pretty plausible.
Briefly read my 10-page essay.
So picture this. So the Byers are in their new neighborhood. Like I said, I am assuming it's California. The family is getting by in their new neighborhood. They're doing fine, but it's a new area. So, they're feeling homesick, especially Will. Will and Eleven are, of course, getting picked on at school because, they're different and weird,
Of course, right?
Eleven's kind of quiet, so she's a freak, and Will is like, that's always how it is. Like, they're gonna bully her because it's like she's quiet or something. All that stuff is set up in the first episode or two. We get to see, where they are, how their lives are going. Then I'm saying around episode 2 or 3, Mike visits them, and that's why he is not in any of the group shots that we've seen. So I'm saying that Mike and Nancy were originally going to fly up to California. Maybe Nancy skips out on it because of the investigations happening. Maybe I can imagine, Mike gets to the airport, he's there for Eleven and Will, he's there. They're like, oh, Mike, you're here. Then Jonathan's like, where's Nancy? And Mike's like, she couldn't make it, or she skipped out on it or something. Cause of course communication doesn't exist in the show. So like Nancy wouldn't tell Mike that what was going on. So Jonathan is upset at this point. I can picture scenes where he's like calling, but like she isn't answering, and then like he calls the house and they're like, one of the parents answers and he's like, hey, is Nancy there? And it's like, oh, I think she's with Steve right now. And then it's just like we get this sad like music, and it's like, oh no. So like Jonathan thinks that like he and Nancy are done because she's not calling him back or whatever, but she's really busy and stuff. I can't really picture them giving Jonathan any like supernatural upside down related storylines if he's away from Hawkins, so they're gonna have to give him the more human drama issue. So like, I'm thinking something like that will happen. And also they got to have Jonathan and Nancy drama. Then on Mike and Eleven and Will's side, things are weird because they're getting bullied at school, but they're not letting Mike in on all the details because again, communication is out the window. So like Mike's trying to help, but he can't. Also, while all this is happening, I can imagine Joyce is being vague with everybody, and she's like, oh, like I'm working late, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, when in reality she's in contact with Murray and they're tracking down Hopper. Murray somehow finds out that Hopper's alive. He calls her, and they're investigating this, but she's not letting anyone know because because one, it's dangerous, and two, if he ends up actually being dead in their eyes, then it's just even more disappointing. So I'm picturing that she leaves. Everybody is sort of like annoyed at each other, I'm picturing. And also, all while this is happening, I can picture that we get little bits and pieces of like surveillance footage, phone conversations, and everything being watched and listened to, implying that Eleven is being watched and tracked down in the middle of all this. Because we know that it's just going to cut back to Hawkins stuff, to Russia stuff, to it's back to the Byers. So at some point, I'm imagining that they figure, why not try to do something to get their mind off of everything? So they go to like an arcade or like roller rink. I typed that down specifically because I don't know why I find the idea of them going to a roller rink really funny. But yeah, in the new theory, they go to a roller rink. That's like the new house by the lake. If they go to a roller rink, I'm a genius. So yeah, arcade, roller rink, surf, or like the Surfer Boy pizza shop even. So Eleven's left alone and is captured by the people as seen in that screenshot. So of course everybody's too late to help her. So they go to Mike and Will possibly go to like Jonathan and Argyle, like, oh my gosh, she's getting taken. Now I typed this down and I sent this to you, but I feel like it'd be too on the nose. But like if Mike if he sees like a truck driving away and then it's like H&L, like he's like, oh my gosh, Hawkins National Lab. I think that's too on the nose. But if all this happens and if Eleven's getting taken back to Hawkins into the lab in this way, then that's the only way I could really think of that happening. So they take the pizza truck and rush back to Hawkins. And I was thinking a major reason possibly why we haven't seen them in any trailers or anything is because the majority of their scenes at the midpoint are them like on the road, just like in the pizza truck back to Hawkins, and it's just like a road movie. I'm calling that like during the trip. If it happens, we're gonna get scenes where everybody talks about something like really personal and like emotional, and they're like, yeah, of course, we gotta have all that. Then I'm imagining that they arrive at Hawkins near the end point of the season, see aftermath of something crazy. Now, this is like the last part of it, and I can imagine two things happening. One, Jonathan and Nancy reunite before the big climax of the season, and he explains why he's upset. She explains what she was doing, and they make up. And another possibility that I have is that they don't meet up initially, and they all arrive in the pizza truck and they're like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And it's like chaos. They don't meet up with the gang because stuff is happening at the Creel house. So at this point in the second possibility, Jonathan, Will, Mike, and Argyle are back in Hawkins. Steve, Dustin, Lucas, Max, Nancy, and Robin are at the Creel house, along with like other side characters probably. Joyce and Murray are in Russia. 11 is possibly in the lab. Right as it feels like things are about to pick up and finish off, we get like a montage scene. Everybody's gearing up to face the final thingy, the upside down, with like a dramatic monologue maybe. Then the season ends, and then in season 5 is basically like is season 4 part 2, and that's basically all I got. So like, nice. And the reason why I'm kind of putting this on the table, and again, I'm not saying like this is absolutely what's happening, but it's another thing of just putting something on the table. Just think about what I just said for a second, what I sent you, and then think about how are they going to resolve the Victor Creel stuff, Russia stuff, 11 stuff, and then just like side stuff with the Byers in their usual like one season like adventure type thing, and have a reason for season 5 to exist.
In the first place, I'm really interested to see whether or not Hopper even comes all the way back in season 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or how anybody figures out he's even still alive. If like Joyce goes to get him, or he just brute forces his way out because he's a savage.
When you also think about it, the show tends to have episodes 1, 2, and 3 be little bits and pieces of a story. Then episode 4 and on kicks it into high gear, and then like picks up. So like, unless the season like wastes absolutely no time, I can't imagine everything gets resolved in season 4, and then we have another adventure in season 5. I mean, Netflix hasn't come out and said like, oh, it's official, season 5 is coming out. But like, that's what like the Duffers and like cast members have hinted at, where it's like, oh, we're thinking of ending it at 5. So like, it could totally end in a Deathly Hallows Part 1 way, where it ends right as things are picking up, and then we have to wait for season 5. But like, another thing is that I'm pretty sure that most of the actors have like rapped, and they've like, they've all like cut their hair, because like, they usually let their hair grow out like crazy for a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
They've all like cut their hair, they're all doing whatever and are in different places. So like, they're not filming back to back, which I don't know. Is this like a thing that I'm considering is what is season 5 going to be if they're saying that it's going to happen? I mean, that's basically all the big theory that I came up with regarding the Byers, and that, maybe 11 gets captured, things look awful. Maybe at the end point of the season, she gets like her head shaved again, and it's really dramatic, and like, no, and then like it ends. Yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Just in case I'm absolutely right, I wanted to put it out in the world before it happens.
Yeah.
In the summer of 2015, we will see the release of Star Wars Episode 7. Herewith is my proposal for the plot of that movie. Begin with standard title sequence and John Williams fanfare. We pan outside of the control window to a nearby asteroid, where we see, and please allow me to finish this because it's going to seem like a bit of a jump, we see Thanos. This will be our link to the Marvel universe from the Star Wars universe. And that's when Han drops Chewbacca's severed head ahead. Suddenly the time ribbon begins wavering, and what comes through? The X-Men's Quinjet. That's right. They now mind-controlled Sabretooth and, of course, Wolverine. So imagine those two going up against Robot Chewbacca, because that's going to happen. That is what we're teasing right now.